Hey, Derrick Reimer.
Hello, Ben and Hello, Ben Orenstein.
Oh, is that who I am to you?
Ben Orenstein?
Oh, yeah, that's a classic.
How often do you get that, by the way?
30% of the time.
Okay. Yeah.
20% of the time. It's fair. It's a reasonable, that's a totally normal and standard way to pronounce that.
I feel like it's an even split on whether it's Stein versus Steen on...
Yep. Yeah, you can't win this. It's just, I think someone in my family arbitrarily chose that years ago. And so if people get it wrong, I don't care at all.
Well, I'm 90% Reamer, so
yeah.
people don't know their Germanic rules.
Yep. That's fair.
Yeah.
So how's it going?
I'm going pretty well. How are you?
I'm good. I'm actually really good. Trip to Maine was awesome.
Good. Yeah. So drove up with your co-founders, is that right?
Yep, we hopped in a car and drove up. It was about 5 hours, which is actually it was 5 hours of driving, and then we hit the ferry, and the ferry was half an hour or something. Actually, not really, it was a little shorter, but like we're going to an island, so it's unload all the stuff from the car, put it on the ferry, get on the thing, get to the other side, take another car over to the house. It was a trip to get there, but once we were there, it was pretty awesome. So this island was Greater Cranberry Island, which is off the coast of Maine, and Spencer's grandparents actually built this house there like 70 years ago. But it's awesome. There's like about 150 people that live there. Like it's really, really small island. There's like one road, really, one paved road that runs along the center of the island. It's about like 1.5 miles, 2 miles long. And there's some like side roads with houses on them, and that's it.
Nice. Wow. Were you off the grid? Was there internet access out there, or?
There was internet. There was power and plumbing and all that.
Okay.
But it's about as isolated as you could get and still have that connectivity, I think. Like no one knew we were there. Spencer's mom lives in a house next door to the one we were in. So like there was basically one person on the island who knew us and knew we were there. And so it was just kind of the perfect amount of isolation. It was really, really focusing. Had like a super good, productive week there. And this is something I've experienced a couple times now. So I used to do those codecations with Chris and Edwin, and something about going to a new place, getting out of your normal routines, and being somewhere explicitly to get stuff done and trying to ship a thing by the end of it just works so well.
Yeah. I did something like that too when I was building CodeTree, and it was like a nights and weekends product. And so I would struggle to find time consistently during the work week, and especially if things were busy. And so I remember there was one time when I wanted to just like make some significant strides on the product, and I've been like looking for stretches of uninterrupted time, and I just decided to take a long weekend, went to the coast, central coast of California, and we had friends who had a beach house, so just stayed there, and I worked around the clock and then took breaks and went and walked on the beach, and it was just, yeah, it was great.
I feel like I'm collecting all these silly brain hacks that work for weird reasons, or reasons that I don't quite understand, but hey, like it's effective. And so like just getting somewhere else seems to work really well for me. And Joel and Spencer too. Like we had a couple of days where I think we probably did maybe like 10 productive hours of work with like almost no breaks in there. And we were coding too. So it's like, it was just like deep concentration work. And we would break for lunch for like 25 minutes and then get back to it. The great thing is it didn't feel like a chore. It was just like, there's like a joy in like being so focused on a thing and getting stuff done and just like really sinking your teeth into a problem, have it fully loaded into your head and not having to unload it for other things.
I know sometimes it's nice. Just like I don't have to do dishes, or maybe you did because you're staying in a house, but like chores like that, where that would maybe distract you if you were working out of your house or something like that, are just mostly gone. And
yeah. And like, you're not going to run down to the coffee shop. You don't see like, oh, that bill in your inbox of that thing and get reminded you have to pay that. And like, there's something about like the sacrifice of moving to a different place and like giving up a bunch of things that makes you want to make it productive. I really didn't want to waste it. And so I was like really trying to make sure we like got stuff. I got stuff done and was productive the whole time. And then that sort of mood fell over everyone. So it's like all of us kind of want to make sure we're all being productive, and it sort of reinforces. Like if I had a moment where I was like, I could take a break, and I was like, but everyone else is going. I'll just get back to it as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So do you think you'll do more of these? Will this be kind of a recurring thing?
Totally. I mean, like it works really well, so why not? We chatted about that, and so we're looking towards October as sort of another one because it worked. And also we have some more connections with people that have houses that maybe we don't have to pay for. And the thing that we realized is like this was really nice because it's a cool location, and it's beautiful, and it was fun to see where Spencer spent a lot of time, but it's also really far. And I don't think the distance has much to do with the productivity. I think even if you were half an hour from your house, just like when you don't really know the area and you're isolated, I think that would do it enough.
Yeah, it's something I've been toying around with, but I'm also like, I know I keep telling myself, which is probably not a valid argument for the reasons we just discussed, but could I really justify paying for an Airbnb somewhere for a couple of days, when I could just be sitting at my desk getting the same work done? Like, now I don't have the constraints of a day job where I'm like trying to, radically get into a different mindset. It's like I'm basically doing exactly what I'm doing here. So are the benefits worth it for me as a like solo founder to just go like off somewhere? But perhaps they are,
I think there are. I think you'd be surprised. I think it would actually work pretty well, and you would find yourself more productive.
Yeah.
And even just like having family around and all that, like just is great most of the time. But if every so often you want to really focus, that solitude can help a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. Cool. I think I'll give it a try.
I think it's worth it. I think you can do it for pretty cheap. Like it was nice that we were like, Spencer's house has a view of the ocean, which is pretty awesome. But we didn't really use, like we walked by the water and like waded in and did some stuff like that. But it could have just been any random Airbnb, like a cheap whatever thing. If it's got a kitchen and some internet, you're basically there.
Yeah.
Yep. We also like went grocery shopping early on, just like stocked up for the whole week. So like we could just like make our own meals, didn't have to go out, didn't have to worry about finding, okay, what do we do for lunch? That's another thing that has worked well for us in the past, or for me with like the Codecations in particular.
Yeah. And that could be a challenge of working from home that I found is like, if I'm not diligent about pre-planning for things like what am I going to have for meals today, I'll get into the flow, get some work done, and then like it's nearing lunch. Wait, what am I going to eat today? What food do I have? And oh yeah, I got to cook dinner tonight. I guess those aren't factors when you're when you've pre-planned or you're in a different location where it's just like non-issues.
Yep.
So.
Yeah. The upshot of all that is we had hit a pretty awesome milestone, which is, just to remind people, we had basically scrapped our electron-based version of our app, which had actually a number of features working. It was like, I wouldn't say it was anywhere near feature complete, but was very much a functional prototype. And we are now back there to the point where we have a native functional prototype. We're sharing a screen across, multiple machines. We have a Rails signaling server, which handles the like connecting the two peers together that I wrote, that is actually functioning and working. We're very energized because now it feels, there was a while where we're all sort of just like, or everyone was kind of heads down on like getting the native thing working, and not a lot to show for it because there's just a lot of learning to do and libraries to learn and all this. And now it's like, okay, we have a skeleton of a thing that works and there's a ton more to do, but the basic thing works. I can see how from here we get to a thing that's good enough to ship to our alpha people. And that's very exciting for all of us.
I think of it as like laying the foundation of a house or a structure, and before you have that foundation, it's hard to even make checklists of things to do because like you don't have a foundation on which to build. And now you have that. So it's a great place to be.
It's kind of like that. It's like the foundation plus the framing. Like the walls have now gone up. And so it's like there's nothing on them, and it's like there's no plumbing or no electricity, but you can now see like, oh, here's the living room. Oh, here's where the bathroom's going to be. And this is a closet. And that's how the app is starting to feel now, where everything is janky, but it's like our current thing we're trying to get to is dog foodability. Actually be able to like pair using the app while we work on the app. And that does not feel super, super far away, which is pretty exciting.
Yeah. What are you using to keep track of like tasks left to do? Is it pretty lightweight at this point? Or are you guys using a tool for that?
We sort of a mix of Basecamp and GitHub issues.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
We're in the easiest case where like most of the time we're in the same room and we have all the context. So I feel like almost anything would work at this point for us. We're in a simple state right now.
Yep.
That's exciting. Like having the native thing working is so good. And I also set up like the skeleton of like a homebrew distribution thing or homebrew tap. So it's like eventually you're going to be able to like just brew cask, tap, Tuple or whatever it is and get our thing and have it installed and it'll be real. And it's very exciting.
Yeah. I like it.
Yeah. The pieces are coming together.
Very nice.
Yeah. So yeah, I feel good. Things are pretty good.
Anything going on in the marketing realm to report on, or is it just kind of...
a thing is coming up on my list of copying your handle reservation thing.
Nice. Yep.
I think that's getting more and more imminent. I've been working on the Rails backend for a while, and that's getting close to where we want it, I think. So I think pretty soon it'll be like that won't be a blocker. And so I'll be able to turn my attention to something like that. I think that's probably the next marketing thing to happen.
Yeah. Nice. I'm anxious to see how that works out. I'm sure it's going to work fabulously.
I hope so. There's some like block I have in my head about not wanting to do it. I think I'm like afraid that I'll try it and it won't work and I'll be pissed because it worked so well for you or something.
Oh yeah.
I don't know what's going on there, but there's like something in me that's like, I don't want to do it for some reason. So I just got to push through that, I think.
Yeah, it's understandable, but push through it. It's worth it.
Yeah. Let's exploit that scarcity reflex in people.
Yep.
The one nice thing is like people are signing up at a pretty good clip on the landing page, which is nice. Like we're averaging probably 15 people a day, which is not shabby. And like that tweet ask on the follow-up page seems to work really well. Like there's just like a pretty constant stream of people tweeting out. And a lot of people just keep that default tweet that I wrote, which so I can like just straight up find it. It's cool to see that functions. And some of these people have a decent number of followers. And so it's that whole viral thing is happening a little bit.
It's a nice little flywheel going on, where it's just kind of, and I think it's still happening for level to a certain degree because there's still a steady stream and I haven't really done a whole lot of direct promotion right now. Just occasional, tweeting on my personal account and stuff like that. But
you're up to 4,500 handle reservations. That's like crazy.
I know.
That's awesome. I'm kind of pissed at you. So we're at like 1,600 something people on our list. And you didn't launch that much more before us, so I kind of have to catch you.
Now, granted, and you'll probably observe the same thing when you do this, but I just will occasionally peruse through the database table and see who's signing up. And I feel like most people, probably more than 50% of people, reserve more than one handle. Like they get a personal one and then a business one. I haven't made it totally clear whether users and spaces or companies will share the same top level namespace, kind of like GitHub does. There's a lot of duplicates. So when I do actually like let people officially, sign up and like use one of the handles they reserved, I'm gonna have to think of some way to like let people reconcile all their duplicates because everyone's doing like the +1, +2 trick with their Gmail accounts and stuff like that.
Interesting.
Yeah. So that number is a little bit inflated, but still a good number.
Yeah. I think you said you saw someone who was like, I don't really know what this is, but I just reserved my handle because I want to.
Yeah.
So I imagine
it's varying quality, probably people who aren't just signing up because of the scarcity are perhaps higher quality, but you just kind of go in knowing that.
Yeah. Well,
a lot of looky-loos in there.
Probably still worth it. There's going to be some good leads in there for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
So that might be it for me. I think things are good, but that's the end of it.
Sweet. Yeah, in the level world, I've been, so I kind of have touched on this a few times in the last few episodes, but one of the biggest unknowns is exactly how the mechanics of the inbox are going to work. And that's been on my radar as like probably the single most critical piece to make sure I execute well on, because if that doesn't function well, then the whole promise of the app sort of breaks down. So I have been giving a lot of kind of deliberate attention to that task over the last week. There were definitely a couple of days where I felt like I was kind of in the trough of sorrow, where it's like, it's one of those kind of iceberg features where it looks really simple on the surface and then you start to dip below and it's like, there's just so many little decisions about how information should flow through the app. And I think it's just a testament to like some of the best executed products that feel really simple to use were probably very difficult to nail. We've all seen products where there's some kind of activity feed built into them or something that kind of represents activity that has happened in the product, and a poorly executed activity feed is just garbage. It's just like unusable. So that's what I'm trying to avoid, and I'm trying to kind of mesh the ideas of, some people think of their inbox as their to-do list or like a list of tasks and things that they need to take action on. And ideally, everything in there would be actionable, and things that are not actionable would not be taking up a large portion of the inbox. So there's like kind of thinking of them as tasks or thinking of them as notifications. And so I've kind of been going through the mental exercise of like, what is the paradigm that I'm mirroring here? Because it's important for people to be able to understand what's been happening, what activity's been happening, which kind of points more towards a notification type model or like a notification queue. But then I think ultimately it's most valuable if things are aggregated and gathered together as like actionable to-do items. One of the things I've been doing, which I usually find helpful when thinking through these types of problems, is thinking about data model, because it kind of forces you to think like, okay, how does the data fit together? How are things related? And what should they be named? And that's where I was like, would this table be called tasks or notifications or activities, or, what are they? And even just that kind of sent me down a whole path of just kind of thinking at a higher level. So I feel like it's sort of counterintuitive that thinking about something so like technical implementation details can kind of send you back into a loop of like higher level conceptual thinking.
Yeah. And was that helpful, or did you feel like you're getting kind of blocked on that?
I think ultimately it was helpful because these are things that I need to suss out. It did feel like it sort of started to, the scope started to widen on what I wanted. Like I just wanted to start incrementally biting off this elephant, but it did feel for a little while in there like I didn't know what small steps to take, because every time I try to make one decision, it would kind of lead to 5 more decisions. And then I would have to think through 5 more things, and then those would spin off more. So it was a little bit frustrating. Probably the most frustrating part was finding it difficult to break it up into small chunks. What I need to do, and what I feel like I'm starting to wrap my arms around, is like kind of get my own mental understanding at least 90% there on how this whole thing's going to work. And then that'll allow me to start breaking it off into small pieces.
Yeah. And how do you feel about your progress on that so far?
I think I'm almost there. I have some like sketches in my notebook. I have some mock-ups in Sketch that I had started building a few weeks back and then kind of returned back to more like low fidelity sketches. And then I've kind of revisited those and spotted areas where like, okay, this is not the way to structure it, but I can make these small changes. And so I feel like I'm making progress on it. Now I'm sort of at a decision point. I think I know which direction I'm leaning, but I actually want to toss a few next step ideas at you to get your take.
Hot seat time.
Yeah.
I like it.
So assuming that I've wrapped my head around how I think the inbox should work, I could either trust my instincts and start building it with the goal of building a minimum viable version of this, and then start getting a group of alpha/beta testers actually using it and posting messages, seeing them flow in the inbox, and start actually using the V1. Or I could try to build a prototype, which may take less time, but would probably be throwaway code because it's not actually building it for real, and try to get feedback from people on whether this is what they expected or whether they feel like it's usable, to get feedback perhaps earlier.
So is the prototype usable, or is it like a faked out demo kind of thing?
It would probably be something faked out. Or option number 3 would be like just build static mockups and try to talk people through it and get feedback from, not an actual workable prototype. Those are 3 things I've tossed around in my head.
What is your goal?
My goal is to get as much certainty as possible that I'm on the right track before investing too much in code.
So the concern is like maybe if you built a full MVP and try to get alpha people in there, you've gone down a path that's maybe not viable once they start using it.
Yeah.
My intuition is that I think you need some real use to happen to really know if you've gotten it. Like I imagine people looking at static mockups or even sort of a faked out prototype and saying, yeah, that's awesome, I'm totally into it. And then possibly using it and finding that like certain things don't actually work for them in practice, or going then to try to build that prototype that you had built for real and then realizing there's still 30 decisions to make because like once you actually start doing like, oh, actually, well, that brings up this thing and that thing and this thing and that thing. I like the full MVP idea most of all. Although the next phase of like build the MVP and then get a bunch of alpha people in there using it, or some number of alpha people, that next part is not super trivial, I would say. To get people to switch their communication tool, project management tool, could be challenging in itself. I mean, I guess with 4,000 people on your list, you can probably find some. So maybe that's actually a moot point. I like the real thing. It feels a little bit like you've been in kind of like planny, mock-up-y mode for a little while now. At some point, you're going to have to put the pen on the paper and write the essay, I think.
Yeah. That was my instinct, too. And I wanted to gut check it mainly to make sure that, like, I'm not biased too much in favor of, like, I think I can just figure this out. Because I know that like it's usually not safe to assume that always with product decisions that you can, always come up with the best solution without getting a lot of user testing involved or something like that. It sticks in the back of my mind that like that was a valuable exercise, especially when we were doing one of the last projects I was involved with at Drip, which was our visual email builder. We did a lot of brainstorming with our product guy and our head designer, and then we did a fair number of mock-ups, and we kind of worked through those internally, and then our designer built like a prototype that was functional enough where someone could throw down an email, a printed out version of an email on the table and ask someone, okay, recreate this in the email builder. And then, basically observe them kind of stumble through and get tripped up at different points. And that was really valuable. But I'm also aware that like this is not quite the same thing where like that was like a self-contained interface that was supposed to be intuitive enough for someone to just build an email in. And this is like a whole communication system where all the pieces kind of have to work, and or else it's just people are not going to want to use the system. So I feel like it's a little bit of an apples and oranges comparison, but that still sticks in the back of my mind of like that was very valuable getting people involved early on, and it saved us probably a lot of time of like writing a bunch of production quality code that then would maybe need to get reworked.
Yeah. Like you said, your goal was to reduce the risk that you're building a bunch of things and not that aren't the right things. I think it might be time to just take on that risk a little bit. I don't think you can fully de-risk that with static things or prototypes. And it might just be time to run into that.
So then I think probably the other thing for me to probably stick a Post-it note on my wall and on my monitor is like keep the scope as small as possible, because the temptation will be to not only implement the minimum feature set that I feel like I need to demonstrate how the product works, but then I will be tempted to like bring it to a super high level of polish, which is probably not needed if my goal is just de-risking and getting this in front of a group of alpha people who are going to be okay with like a little bit of some rough edges in the product,
Yep. It sounds like you could maybe benefit from like a milestone, which is what's the short list of things I have to have in order to get 5 teams or whatever in here that I couldn't launch without. Like our milestone of like, what's it take before we can dog food this thing? That has like a really nice focusing effect. Or like, what do we need to go to alpha? It has a nice like a short circuiting quality where it's like, we're like, ooh, what about this? And we're like, we don't need it for alpha. Don't worry about it. And that's been useful for us. If your tendency is to let your scope grow, I think fixing a milestone or even a date might be really useful for you.
Yeah. I'll say this vague date at least. I definitely want to have this in the hands of people testing it this fall sometime. That's not a lot of time in the grand scheme.
Not that much time. You might need to go to an island somewhere.
I know, right?
When does fall end? October?
Good question. Yeah, I would say the fall I'm thinking about is probably by October.
Okay. November starts to feel pretty wintry, at least where I live.
It does. Yeah.
Okay.
So,
I like that. I like the sound of that.
Yeah.
There's nothing like the doom of an impending deadline to force you to just, all right, we got to figure this out.
Yep. Exactly.
You have like multiple risks to manage, and one risk is building the wrong thing, but I think you also have the risk of being in planning phase too long and not getting some of those wins or some of that painful feedback of like the inbox just isn't working as is because I've tried it for real and I can tell you that it's not working for these reasons, ABC. I think psychologically you're going to feel better if you have a thing and people are poking at it.
I think so too. And the more time I spend thinking about what I should do, the more runway I'm burning. And that's another factor. Like time is money and I got to get this. I think I just got to do it. So cool. Well, thanks for helping me clarify my thinking on that.
Anytime. As long as we record it.
Yeah.
No. Cool. Well, that sounds like a reasonable path forward.
Yeah.
I think. So
good.
I think rolling your sleeves up and getting some code going sounds like a good thing. I would encourage you to try a little retreat to do that too. I think if you can go somewhere and just get steeped in the level world for a few days, and that might be really useful.
Yeah, I think I'll do that. I will report back on my
Cool.
progress on that.
Nice. Awesome. Anything else?
One more thing. So we have talked a number of times about how we desire for the listenership of this podcast to grow. And one of the things that we haven't done proactively is ask listeners to leave us reviews in iTunes. So I'm going to put out the public call right now. Please leave us a review in iTunes.
Yeah.
5-star reviews.
That's a good idea.
Yeah. I think that is known to help things rise in the search rankings and such. I don't know. That's a little bit of a black box algorithm, but I think it helps. So, yeah.
Yeah, that'd be handy. Please do that. That'd be nice.
Yeah.
Oh, also, if you happen to be a Google Play Music person, we just got approved to have our podcast rehosted there or something there. So if you want to listen on your Google Home device or whatever it is, then do that.
Please do.
So after people have left us a glowing and wonderful review, where would they find the show notes for this episode?
They can find the show notes at artofproductpodcast.com.
Awesome. Thanks for listening.
Thank you.